You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Good evening, everybody. It's so good to have you in. It's 7:01 p.m. on the East Coast on December 2nd, 2025. We're here from Studio A in Westchester, New York, and it is a rainy day. I told you guys it would be. I met all my, well, not all my friends, but some of my friends out there from the Midwest was like, Frank, I'm from Indiana. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from here and here. Get ready, it's coming for you. I said, I'm telling you, snow like that, we repel snow like that. You know how like when you put a magnet together with another magnet and they're the same charge and you feel that kind of like invisible ball of it just repels it. That's what we have around us over here in Westchester. We'll get a snowstorm in February. We'll get maybe one in January, something like that. We will get weeks of absolutely frigid cold. But I told you we were going to probably get a sloshy, wet, if anything, some sleet. We didn't even get that. Okay? Now, 20 minutes north of us, it's probably the Revenant. But I don't know. Hey, listen, tonight I've got a great friend in with me. It's been a long time since he's been hanging out. But I'm glad he's here, and I hope in 2026 we see a lot more of him. Vinny Brusco. Vinny, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's good to have you back.
I want to say thank you because I can't tell you how many times we were trying to organize this, and you have been so patient with my schedule and my life. So I just want to say thank you for your patience and always welcoming it.
Should we go into our text messages?
They're very long. It might date back like 3 years.
No, it's crazy. I remember everyone's, I don't know. It would just probably be like me every maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Yo, Vin, what's up? Yeah, let's do it. And then, oh man, you're gonna kill me. But I knew that tonight would happen eventually.
But that's the beauty of it. And I think that you've been doing this for such a long time, as have I, that we understand that there's an energetic frequency that has to transpire. When you try to force these things to come to fruition, they don't end up being as magical as they can be. And now in just our conversation prior to going on, it's like, oh, this is the right time to be stepping into this type of space with you.
Yeah.
And it always works out that way. And when people try to force it, it ends up being a disaster. Could you put up my headphones a little bit? Am I annoying to ask that?
No, not at all.
Do you mind? I like loud headphones.
How does that feel? How's that to sound?
That's good, yeah.
It's good enough?
It's good, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, everything in due time, and so that's it. I especially with guys like you, anybody like you who's close enough to actually be sitting here in studio, it's just become so much more of a priority to me to get friends in this studio and to fill it up and get some life in here at night.
Yeah.
And it's great in the second half. I think you're really going to like the guest that's going to join us from South America.
Lovely.
His name is Giulio Anselmo. He is a clinical psychologist. He's been on the show before.
Couldn't be a better night.
Exactly. And we're going to be talking about the Alice in Wonderland technique that is used in mind control and everything else.
Looking forward to it.
Right. So, but until then, I figure we just have some light conversation and things that relax us, and we can open up the lines and all that stuff.
Love it.
So, all right. So what's your opinion on the Jews?
Let's keep it light. Really, a light little charcuterie to start the evening.
There's an old police trick.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Want to see if you fall for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for you. Okay, well, Anyway, oh man, no, there's a lot going. And just to remind everybody, just to remind everybody, tonight we're giving away the 2 Florida Goldbacks, okay, as well as the white wheelchair Santa. Okay, you're gonna get the Florida Goldbacks and the white wheelchair Santa. I've got the names from last night already loaded up. You send a super chat through YouTube, quite frankly, superchat.com, which if you send a super chat there, $10 or more, it just gets read. Okay, text to speech right over here. You could just, break up the party. And Rumble and everybody else, just let you know. It's a Goldback night, and there you have it. Anywho, I don't know, man. It's an interesting time that's going on right now, and we're in that very gooey couple of weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
It's a good word for it. Gooey is perfect.
Because a lot happens.
A lot, like nothing and everything happens all at once in this little vacuum of these couple of weeks where it's like everyone's kind of in this in between. You don't know if you want to step on the gas pedal, take your foot off the gas pedal. There's a nice energetic frequency that's like around us at all times, but it just like I just put on 106.7 this time of year and just leave it on and just let it do its thing. But yeah, it's a weird energy that's around us at this time of year, and I think it's important to kind of to recognize that, and then how do you manipulate that energy and alchemize it to better your life, right? How do you recognize it and say, all right, this is what I need to be doing?
Well, as a father too, you've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old now.
Yeah, 10-year-old girl, 6-year-old boy. Yep.
And how are these last couple of years seeing your children move really out of that baby, the baby mindset and into now you're dealing with middle schoolers and now because I'll tell you, man, when Aurora turned 2, I was like, oh man, she's all grown up, I can't anymore. And now I think she just turned 5, and I see you're 5 years ahead of me as far as your first goes. And what's it like 5 years in the future?
For me, it was around probably when she turned 8, but really now at 10 for sure. You definitely see that essence and the innocence seeping out of them like a balloon. And I've talked about this a bunch on my podcast, but you do see that air just slowly leave them, and the culture start to have its way with them, right? Whether it be through friends, non-friends, school, activities, there's just this new level for them of awareness. And it's gut-wrenching to some degree. I was talking to my wife actually not that long ago, and I said, one thing they don't prepare you for as a parent is living in these 3 timelines. You live in the past where you miss them being small. You live in the present where you love them more than anything and are so happy that they are the age they are. And then you live in the future where you fear yet are so excited to see the person they're going to become. And at this age, it's, and having the 6-year-old boy as this contrast who's still just piss and vinegar, it's you see it evolve over time, and it's hard, man. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, I think about it. I think about it a lot. There's a lot of different new layers. There's new layers just where we are living in history too.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, because obviously this is just a tale as old as time. It's just the way things are. Like, Aurora, she had the last 2 nights, I don't know what the hell it is, but she's really was very grabby. Daddy, don't go to the studio crying. Don't go to the studio. And, I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't want her to go too hard on herself. On the other hand, it's cute.
Right.
And then you always want to go back for that last hug, which turns into 15 last hugs because, there's already nights where sometimes she doesn't pick her head up from a coloring book as I walk out the door. I'm like, oh man.
And you take for granted both of the nights, right? You take for granted the night because in one regard, you're like, okay, good. She's not asking for that one more hug that's going to delay me, make me feel bad. That's great. Okay, good. And you just kind of move and walk out there. All right, good night. Love you. And you give the kiss goodbye. But at the same time, that you almost take that for granted. And then you also take for granted. Oh, that was very nice of Crickles. And then the nights where she's like, oh, come on, stay, all that. You take that for granted, right? Because one day she's not going to ask you to stay, and then one day she's going to want you to stay. So it's a constant double-edged sword and battle. Especially as a dad, I think that it's like I'm sure mothers, of course, get it as well, but it's just such a different dynamic with a daughter.
Yeah,
it's just a weird dynamic.
I can see it. Here's that other one from Crickles again because I had the volume down.
'Tis the golden age of America.
Well, I will bring it on in 2026. Yeah. Bring it on in 2026. I don't know, Vin. We're going to be getting back around to family and children and grown-ups and our memories of us growing up as kids and all that stuff. We'll be getting back around to that because I wanted to play for you that I only saw the first minute and I said, all right, I'm not going to do this to myself. I'm going to just do it on air. But Chevy has a new commercial out.
I saw the whole thing.
You saw the whole thing?
I saw the whole thing. It is Jeff's kiss.
Okay, so I got to watch that.
Yeah. Pull it up.
We'll watch that together. But first, I got to say, before we go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you're watching the show live or on demand, it doesn't matter if it's on YouTube or Rumble, Pilled, wherever the hell it is. Pilled a lot less because Pilled is just, it's a lot more fair what's going on out there. You go live, people get a notification from you, you're there. But on the big platforms, the big corporate platforms, listen, as I just said before, the last couple of weeks, and I'll continue to say it because we got to drag ourselves into to past this plateau, and that is that lurking kills your favorite channels. Just remember that. So whether you're watching live or on demand, leave a like, leave a comment, get in the chat room. I have a live chat poll. That is up right now on YouTube. And here is what it has everything to do with the quality of stuff that you get made in America these days. Hold on one second. Here it is. Do you still believe that American made is the best quality in 2025? Is it yes, or even in its state where we are, or no? And if it's no, you got to let us know who does it better. And Vin, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well, because I've got another post here that has to do with old appliances, like old stoves, things like that.
Just talking about this with my mom.
Really?
Yeah, literally today.
Dude, I mean, so I just wonder, it seems like everything's cheap shit no matter where the hell you buy it.
Everything breaks, and then to repair it, forget it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. Just so go there and just interact and get it out there, whatever, smash a like, drop a comment, say anything in the chat. Engagement is my oxygen here. So there you go. But here's President Trump for I think the second day in a row, or maybe second time in a couple of days, again paying reference to the possibility of an income tax that goes away. Now, again, when Chris Ann Hall comes on the show next week, we're going to talk about what would actually need to happen to abolish the income tax and get rid of all this. But this it's a fantasy that you can't keep saying if you don't intend on doing something. Let's listen.
And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay, because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous, that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now.
Keep it around for fun.
Yeah, for fun. I'll
just pay income tax for fun.
Ruin my life.
Yeah.
So again, don't tease me, Daddy.
Maybe Crickles is onto something. Maybe we are in the golden age, and we're just on the cusp of it.
If that happens, it would be. Because again, like I said last night, and just putting out the math on that, we're estimated maybe bringing in $200 to $300 billion extra because of the tariffs and all the new trade deals right now. But there's quite a big deficit between the about $4 to $5 trillion that is raised and spent yearly. It's just insane what is taken from us. So it's either, like I said, it's going to have to be nut-busting levels of cutting, which is what I want. I mean, sure. It's got to go. Or I don't know.
Or just keep it around for fun.
It doesn't make... you talk about entropy. You ever talk about entropy on your show?
Not much.
Okay. Entropy is it's how energy is wasted in a closed, isolated system.
Right.
So you have a cube, you have a glass cube, you open up the top of it, you throw a rubber ball inside of it, you close the cube.
Right.
It's going to bounce all around until it dribbles to a stop. When I think about how you're going to generate all the money, the whole point is that the way that we're living as a country, as a dependent people and a debt-based society, that can't go on, because it's not even just about how the math doesn't math after a while, that you're talking about imaginary levels of debt that can never actually physically be paid off. That you, at some point, you think that there has to be some kind of a debt jubilee and say, all right, let's just start all over. Right. But other than that, what's attached to all the debt is people who literally cannot provide for themselves anymore. Right. It's like wounded animals, and we've got tens of millions of wounded animals in this country.
Yeah. This sustainability factor is just not there anymore. We were talking a little bit before the show of just like life, right? And especially living in this particular area in Westchester, it's even harder, I think, than probably the average town or city in the country. But it's a very hard to just sustain and just to maintain is through the roof. And it was like, I feel like everything has been in small incremental steps. It's like all of a sudden it went up like 75 cents, $1. Things are just going up like these small incremental steps. And all of a sudden, like in a longer span of time, that becomes obviously a much higher amount. And that becomes like, oh, wait, how much did groceries cost a week ago or a year ago or 2 years ago? Family of 4, all of a sudden it goes from this to that. And you're like, and again, you feel bad even saying these things because we're so privileged in a lot of ways, right? We have such amazing privilege just to be able to go to a grocery store and buy food and feed our families is such a blessing. But at the same time, when that becomes harder and harder year after year, something has to give. And unfortunately, it's usually just you working your ass off more.
Yeah, I know.
And taking more living out of your life.
More living out of your life when 1/3 of your year essentially is sent off to gangsters in a swamp in Maryland. Right. I can't tell you how much I hate them. I hate them so much. I can't say anything else because we are in the public. We're in public square, and gosh, good golly. I don't know. So there's that. Hopefully, though, we get a little bit of a no more taxes. That'd be great.
Well, just keep it around for fun, though. But.
Yeah. And just for everybody out there, too, there is one more thing, because we've been keeping tabs on this on the side, because it is eventually going to become either a big story one way or another, if it comes to fruition or if it just kind of meekly goes away, and that's the Candace Owens thing. She tweeted this morning. She said this. Here we go. I received information last night that put the final pieces together for me. I can now say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. Yes, I will be naming names and providing evidence for my claims, and I am making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to this godforsaken organization to request a refund. You were lied to, and leadership knew. And the chat, the comments is your predictable blend of I'm with you, Candace, to you are a psycho man, blah, blah, blah. It's just whatever. And I'm just sitting over here and watching the whole thing. But I'll tell you, man, foul plots afoot all around us. I don't know if you pay attention to this stuff, because
I it's hard not to. Obviously, it's definitely on my algorithm. It's definitely not as much as it is on yours. And there's definitely some things that you have to your ears have to perk up. And you have to kind of, especially when you look at things with the lens that you and I do, where everything is, what is reality? What are we even dealing with? What are we even talking about? Like, so when you start looking at things with a very skeptical lens, and you start to inquire and you start to question the way you think and the way the world operates and all these things, and you start to put these, it's Kaiser Soze, right? It becomes the usual suspects at the end, and you all of a sudden you're standing there going, holy shit. And there's also the reality of just someone completely losing their shit. Like, there's just so much going on from every avenue that it's hard to not have an open mind to any potential reality.
Yeah. Especially in that sense, because there's so much, like later on tonight when we talk about the Alice in Wonderland technique of essentially just confusion. When you take a person to a point of absolute, I don't know which way is up, that kind of confusion that you get when you go out to the beach somewhere and you just get pummeled by the waves, and you seriously don't know what's happening until
you're in the dryer
until you emerge from the sea.
Yeah.
And you're
Like,
just
oh.
all right, there's the horizon.
Right.
But that essentially is the whole point of the Alice in Wonderland technique, is that you drive a person or people to a point where they're so confused that they tend to latch on, or they tend to latch on a little bit easier to the first bits of information or anything that seems to make some logical sense in comparison to the whirlwind of nonsense that they have been, just completely snowed over with.
Right.
And you could see how that is the case on a mass scale, whether it just talks about the chaos of having hundreds of millions of people plugged into the internet and publishing their thoughts, or nonsense, speculation, spoofing, whatever the hell it is, or if it's also just directed chaos, which has been happening since before the media was not so decentralized. When there was only a couple of places you can tune in for your news, the CIA was still flooding the United States. They assisted in flooding the United States with alternate JFK assassination theories to make there be so much. There's so many ways to muddy the water, and also so many ways to make people feel look crazy by association,
right? Whatever
the hell it is. So that Alice in Wonderland technique is relevant in the first half as it is going to be in the second half there too. But I think that's part of the reason why. I don't know. That's part. It's what is at play here too. I'm not saying that Candace Owens is that crazy. Who knows? Maybe she's wrong. Maybe she is working an op of her own. People are very strong in their opinions one way or another. But I'll tell you one thing: this kind of discord is very useful, one way or another. And I guess I would rather have the chaos than anything else, because it always reminds me that we're probably we're probably better off right now learning to fend for ourselves and essentially baby step our way into the future, than at least we're not so sleepy as we were, and we weren't getting spoon fed by Dan Rather still,
sure,
all collectively.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is a very Alice in Wonderland-y time to be alive right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you start stepping into the cave, the first few steps are not that scary, right? Because you still have the light and everything right behind you. But the deeper you go down into the cave and the darker it gets, obviously, the more unruling it gets and the more uneasy it becomes, right? So as you start to go peel back, and that's not just in politics. I mean, that goes for any venture that you go down, even just your own potential or self-discovery or actualization or enlightenment or religion. The introduction course, the 101 stuff is okay. This is kind of, I could chew on this for a little while and live here. But as you start to peel back the onion on yourself or any endeavor, the harder it becomes, the more you have to detach yourself from what you perceived as reality, whether it be reality of who you are, the reality of politics, the reality of the world. And as you get deeper into the cave and the more of the unknown becomes known, but yet still unknown, that gets scarier and scarier. But obviously there's some fact finding that also you could kind of unearth in there.
Yeah. No, you're right. And great allegory with the cave.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Well, I mean, that's where I come from on that whole thing. And hopefully,
but do you think that she's completely off the handle, or do you think that she's? I mean, where do you stand in regards to her? Because obviously, since the Charlie Kirk incident, I don't know what you could say on live streams. Since that situation, she's obviously made a very firm stance and kind of it has evolved, right? Since then, you followed obviously way closer than I do.
Well, I mean, I'm not sleuthing like some people do out there, but I have watched other people's work just on even just the crime scene analysis of the assassination,
right?
Things like that, and I don't know that there's too many aspects of the official story that just don't make me this is horse shit.
Right.
This is horse shit.
But I think what also happens is, sorry to cut you, but I think what also happens, especially like when you mentioned like JFK, right? All of a sudden, we all, not all, but you get my point where I would say this. We all get enamored by it. Oh, the files and the this and the that, and we're going to know. And then all of a sudden, nothing comes out of it, and everyone just kind of goes about their day, right? Like we all, like there's a muster, and then a few people are left remaining still mustering, but the mass population kind of just goes right back to sleep, right? And then it's like, all right, I go back to work.
It's yeah, and that's why I actually said the other night I have to imagine that to some degree, we say, I can't believe that these people still try to do these things and think that we're not going to notice. Say, well, I think that noticing is the most important thing, because there's something very demoralizing about, and demoralizing from the standpoint of not having your morals drained from you, but more like the killing of morale and the killing of any kind of like zest for justice and all that stuff. When you have been through the rinse cycle so many times, and you have seen so many things that are blatantly illegal play out and be exposed in broad daylight, and then have absolutely nobody held to account for it on this earthly plane, at least, then it's almost one of those things where the sleuthing becomes something that you want to be a part of just for your own self-edification, just for your own validation. And then after that, it just becomes another indexed thing that happened. And you have less and less faith in the system. And at the same time, you also feel like there's no real way to do anything about it.
But that's the reality. It's sadly, I think that you're spot on with that. I think you do get to a point where you can't beat the system, but you can't be a part of the system. So you do have to find your own way of navigating within the confines of the game in some regards. Like if you talk to, our parents obviously come from a different world, but when you start to, at least with my parents, if I start to explain things that I consider or you might consider conspiracy theory for their lens, the way they were brought up in the world, it's no way. And then all of a sudden you start having these conversations more and more, and these things start to come to fruition. It's like, oh, right. But our lens almost now, especially with social media, our lens almost automatically goes to conspiracy theory or AI or bullshit. Whereas it's so much harder to reverse that mindset of no way versus saying this definitely is. But now it's these two complete opposite ways of getting to the truth. It's either coming from a lens of this is absolutely true, there's no way this is bullshit, or this is all bullshit and there's no way this is true. And somewhere in there is the truth, but it's such muddied waters, as you put it, that's so hard to unearth that and find out what is actually true.
Well, I think the one thing that it will be interesting to find out over the next 20 years or so is if that generational that kind of generational passing down of the skepticism to varying degrees continues, because and it definitely is, because for example, Gen Z.
I'm not good with the generation. I don't know who's what. We're millennials, right? I think
you're
84.
Your kids are the youngest aspects of Z, or they?
I don't know. I don't know any of these.
Your 6-year-old might be Alpha. I don't know. Alpha's after Z. Start all over again.
All right.
But what I'm thinking is that it'll be interesting to see, whereas millennials and older Gen Z who are now like well into the workforce and they're teachers and everything else going on, they're cops and all that stuff. I think that we're waking up a lot more. We've already had a lot of that going for us, but now we're too deep into 30s, 40s parenthood, weighed down. It's hard to go out there and actually go out there and cause a problem.
Yeah,
I am really interested to see what all of the upcoming generation's youth energy is going to be like, activist energy is going to be like, especially when they start putting together what is really screwing over Americans. And it's not not coming from this brain dead Antifa left-wing socialist bubblegum brain bullshit that goes on in the schools today, where the only solution for left-wing problems is going farther left.
Right.
Right. And not toward liberty. And if they start wondering, what happened to America that I hear about our great-grandparents, what happened to that America? And who was in charge and what
was so wrong with the American dream, right?
What was wrong with it?
Right.
Why when was Dearborn, Michigan all Somali always?
Right.
Where did the 80,000 Somalians come from all of a sudden?
Right.
Things like it's stuff like that. I just wonder what generations that have a little bit more zest and a little bit more time and a little bit less children at home are going to do with their time to actually maybe take a next step and go out and campaign and be absolutely uncorruptible. And they're still human, so everybody's corruptible.
Right.
But I feel like there is a Joker-like not giving a fuck that is coming up the pipeline, and I hope so. I really hope so, because
you almost actually need it to be so Joker-like not giving a fuck to counterbalance the other end of it. Like, it needs to be fairly, not even like hard-nosed, but almost the not giving a fuck and Joker-like are two key words in that, because it has to be almost jovial. Like jovial, not giving a fuck.
Well, if you haven't noticed, especially on Instagram and elsewhere, it's really running through. You want to talk about the whole Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, and who could have really been scamming each other, and maybe it was somebody that knew something very dastardly about his murder. What could they have been eulogizing him? I said, well, I believe that I believe that when Donald Trump went to speak at the RNC last year, a couple of weeks after his assassination attempt in Butler, that there were people in that room who did not expect him to be there. It was almost like that scene in Casino Royale when Bond comes back into the poker table after being poisoned,
right?
And Lashif is like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
So it to that degree, you look at just the pushback against what has always been an issue and is now just so far beyond the pale where nobody cares about the criticism. But the Israeli lobby, for example, I joked about it opening up the show with us. But things like that that have been around, but they've been verboten. It untouchable, which started making a lot of new generation people wonder, why can't we talk about just foreign influence? That's something should be, you don't want anybody. We constantly talk about the Russians. Why can't we talk about Israel or anybody else?
Sure.
There is absolutely no chill with people, with the younger crowds now. There is nothing pulling them back. There's no way for any influencer in the media right now to try to make supporting Israel over American interests or making Israeli interests equally as important as American interests in any way, shape, or form. Cool. It's out the window. That is something that I think it will be very interesting to see when these kids are around 30, 35 years old, when they can start running for president, when they can start running for Congress. And I know that they ain't going to be taking the same kind of money. I know they're not going to take the same kind of money. It's going to be a really interesting 15, 20 years if the world does not turn on its axis 90 degrees, like some people are saying, and we are all just sloshed out of existence.
Yeah, and that's what it really boils down to. Does any of it actually even matter?
How much time do we have left?
Like, does it really matter? Like, I get it does. I get it does on the day-to-day, and it really does, in our lives, in our kids' lives, and I understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, does it even really matter? What are we, like, yes, the stuff we're talking about now definitely does. And it also really doesn't. And, and you could say the same thing about your everyday monotonous bullshit that you interface with. It's like, is this really worth me giving my energy to? Does this have an ROI on my energy? And whether that be, the day in, day out, or even, like I said before, operating within the game, are you playing chess, not checkers, when you realize that you are awake to it and now you're just going to move accordingly?
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about does it all matter? I'll tell you what matters. And I'm going to put this up on the screen, and then we will go into, I'll get into like the appliances and stuff. But this is the Chevy holiday commercial.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Chevy holiday commercial, because I think it leads us right to the mattering. And actually leads me to some thoughts that came up last night with Greg Carlwood when we had, we were talking, we naturally drifted toward UFOs and other things in over the course of the hour that we were chilling with each other. But take a look at this. Let me get Vinny up on the screen here. And this is Chevy. It's making a lot of waves. Some people who are covering it have said, woke is dead, officially dead. And here's where Chevy went.
Found it.
Are we feeding an army?
Pies are in the fridge. Hon, did you get the casseroles?
Yeah, back seat.
Did you want it to be easy?
No. I wanted it to be just like it was.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Hello. Oh, no. You guys just get in?
Yeah.
Who's this little guy?
This is Waylon.
You look like an old friend of mine.
Come on in. It's freezing out here. Yeah. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Well, you teary-eyed? I am, 100%.
Shit.
There are multiple times during that. The first time I watched it,
Damn.
I cried.
Toward the end,
Oh,
I had to watch. I almost, because it's like I had to watch it through a secondary lens. I said, okay, the last minute of this, I'm gonna have to watch through the reflection in the window.
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
There's a couple parts in there that, I mean, I think having a girl and a boy that are probably close to that age difference on that video, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before of living in these three timelines of life where, you reflect on your children as babies and you're like, man, I miss them being whatever age. My daughter's 10, my son's 6, and I miss my daughter being 6 and my son being 2, right? And then you have this moment now where you're just so grateful and just so in love with them at the age they are. You wouldn't want them to be any other age than the age they are right now. And then obviously that projection of who they're going to be in their lives and all these amazing things that you hope for them, their health, their wellness, living in a world that's attainable. Yeah, so many things. I mean, the one thing when she cuts the seat and says, "I'm sorry," and you're just like, oh. Like my son, 2 days ago, my daughter was doing an art project, and we're doing like painting, and he just drops the paint, and he prefaced the whole thing with the "Dad," one of those, and I totally reacted poorly, and I'll be the first to admit I was like, "Dude, come on, what do you do?" Like, and I put him to bed most nights, thank God, and I totally apologize, and I'm all about that, but I laid in bed that night, I was like, man, like, what seed did I plant in him that says, like, you can't come to me with problems? Just from my reaction. And yeah, man, it's just things like that we take it for granted.
dude. I think about that a lot. Patience is not a strong suit of mine, and actually, I talk about that a lot. And whenever I receive counsel from somebody, even if I'm just in confession, I talk to my confessor just about that. Just want to get some encouragement on the issue, because I understand that that's those are seeds planted, and I hate when Aurora is startled by anything, but like I said, and like you said before, that there are years coming where it's just they're going to become us, as far as they're going to grow up. And they're going to realize, like, I just wonder, I just hate when I come here every night, what I'm doing over here, I don't even want Aurora to know is going on in the world ever.
Yeah.
It's just like, the shit we talk about every night that we're like, we're working through, we find a way to laugh at, and I'm sure, and she's going to develop those tools one day. Everybody's children out there in the audience, they're going to have to develop those tools one day too, to be able to get through it. and to process it, and also to use that information on how to live a successful life. Like you have to understand where all the potholes and the pitfalls are, just to be able to build some situational awareness up. Where am I going? Where do I want to be? What kind of people to stay away from, and why? Aurora doesn't get that shit. She doesn't, and just kids don't. But
they start to, though. I mean, they start to, just because energetically, and again, I think that we're having this conversation as two dads who are saying, are we doing enough as dads? Are we enough as dads? And in its own right, makes you doing more than the most, right? You wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be having this conversation. That commercial wouldn't have hit us. These types of conversations we wouldn't reflect on if we weren't the types of people that are doing good work. But in that, you also do have your doubts.
Are you crying?
Yeah, 100%.
No,
100% crying. We wouldn't. Was that $100 for me crying?
No, $100.
I was like $100.
I'll start crying. I'll watch it again for $100, and I will force the tears out.
100%. But you definitely get. You wouldn't be that type of parent, right? That means you are doing good work, right? And it's hard, man. And listen, when you have kids and they start entering the real world, you navigate them. I just say, who makes you feel alive? What do you do that makes you feel good? When you're around these people, you feel good or you feel bad about yourself? Oh, I feel good about. Okay, those are the people you want to be around. Are you around people that make you feel like shit? Don't be around those people. Simple.
Yeah. And like I said, I was going to tie this into some show talk from last night when I was discussing UFOs with Greg Carlwood, and one of the things that we hate so much about those tired UFO conversations over the years, and one person who's disclosing this over, I have information, and it always comes down to, well, why aren't they revealing themselves? Why doesn't somebody say hello? Come out there and just trump all of the. Why do we need government disclosure on something that is so much bigger than any worldly government? When you talk about the implications of, life, anything that could come over here, which would have to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years more advanced than us, if they're traveling intergalactically,
right? And
then interdimensionally, who the hell knows? Whatever the hell you believe on it. The implications are so much bigger than whatever an earthly intelligence agency could ever create as a firewall between us and knowing. So whenever that question is asked of somebody who, presents themselves as an expert on the subject, they always tend to say something stupid like, well, they're waiting for us to be ready. We're not ready yet. Like, and I told Greg last night, whenever I hear that, all I think, and now I'm adding this onto it. Whenever I think of that statement about UFO disclosure and average people, and whether or not our readiness is the only thing that is holding us back from knowing whether or not there are other intelligences in the solar system or whatever, I'm going to think of this Chevy commercial now. This is the most normal average people don't give a fuck about if it lands on their yard, they'll deal with it. They're going to have to deal with the alien on the front lawn if it just happens to land there. I'll deal with it when it's on the front lawn. But most normal people, the Chevy commercial is what most people want. I mean, it's not the actual. The Chevy is the plot device.
It's the vehicle. No pun intended.
It's the vehicle for the story, but It's just. It's the connection that we want, and you know what, the ability just to, I don't know, to live that life. You were saying it before, we're being choked off, and so much of the average person's days is being the voids in those days that may have been able to be filled a little bit more easy, because of course you have free will. You don't have to be dominated by it, but it's hard for a person who has to provide for a family or even themselves or whatever, to really contemplate getting older, having less because more is being taken from you, and all of those little pockets of time that you might be able to pack full of peaceful contemplation is instead being the voids are being filled with anxiety. You know, this is I want more time for the Chevy commercial. I think most people do.
Yeah, it's simple, right? Like the simplicity of the whole commercial is it's beautiful, right? The daughter drawing a heart on the condensation of the window. She's not sitting there on an iPad or on a phone, right? The dynamic between the brother and sister, they're kind of fighting, but when she starts getting upset that she doesn't want to go back to college, the brother comes to her defense, right? It's really these simplistic connections of humanity that we bond to, that really tug on our heartstrings. And whether you're crying about it or not, there's something that innately is that we want out of that. And it's not the Chevy, it's not the house. It really is that simplistic human connection and ultimately unconditional love and you know, that's the connective fiber.
It is, man.
But yeah, that commercial will I'll cry. I cry a lot, so
Well,
big crier.
Well, you cry. What are you gonna do?
Nothing. Cry more.
We
feels good.
Just hey, but you know what? That's why your men's social, the social group, the Agora.
Yeah.
Last time you were on, that was right around the time that you guys launched, or you were just about to launch?
Yeah, we were just launching was about a year ago, right? 2024, probably.
It might have been early 24.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Because
But
we opened April 7th, 2024, and now we're looking for a big expansion phase right now. So it's that's what we do. We cry a lot. A bunch of dudes crying.
Listen. That's the one thing that we get a lot. We always talk about. Listen, you gotta have reliable guy friends to be able to bring certain things to, because there's just certain things it's better not to put out there in the house for the sake of peace and keeping everybody that you're supposed to be, keeping a little bit more comfortable with.
Well, you have to be a foundation. You have to be, if you start to lean into the anxieties that you're experiencing as a man, and you bring that dynamic to your children, or that energy to your children, or those expressions to your wife, or whatever it is, they start to feel like the foundation's no longer intact.
Yeah.
Right. And it's important to, and you said it before, having those conversations and having those people around you. It's important. It's important to have those conversations, especially as men.
Especially even if you have that one reliable friend that will call you gay.
Yes.
If sometimes she's like, hey, listen, you're being gay right now.
Right. You're being a puss.
Just like Jay Britz from the chat room.
Right.
So are you crying? That's gay.
100%.
So, but okay, now real quick, because I want to get to the super chats a little bit, and and whatever. But obviously, this is a hyper local thing for you. You have your social club is set up in New Rochelle. I know that you're looking at greener pastures and another, town, but still, it's a Westchester based thing
for now.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're looking to open up across the country?
Yeah.
Oh man, I
hope
hope
we're in Larchmont now. We're in 200 square feet. We do men's groups, we do dads groups, we do ruck walks, 5Ks, breath work, and it serves as like a community workspace, so guys can go in there. We record podcasts there, so it's become a hub. It's become a true agora. And about October of last year, I had this inclination, and I was like, I want to grow it. I want to expand it. I don't know how. And someone who I met earlier that year, just through conversation, came on a ruck, very involved in the veteran from the British Army, British military, and very big into the men's space, reached out to me, micro miracle, and is like, hey, I want to help you grow Agora. And we've been on this journey of growth, and we're on a platform now. We've raised some money to expand, and we're looking at a full-on 6,100 square foot location in Westchester. 6,100 square feet, community workspace, conference room, podcast studio, gym, recovery space, barbershop. Because as a man, and you know this, right? You're compartmentalized. You get your hair cut here, you go and work out there, you do your podcast. You're so spread thin. And my thought was, if I could bring everything I love to do in one space, and it could be of serving to other people, then all the better. And we're having some bigger conversations than I ever thought. We partnered with Westchester Soccer Club. We partnered with Michael Chernow and Creatures of Habit. We have Eben Britton, former NFL player, who's on as an investor and a board advisor. So we are making these strides into bringing the loneliness epidemic that is now being talked about finally for men to an actual location and giving guys a hub and a place to connect in what we have tagged as defining the circle.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, I was, there's a lot of people rooting for you when you came on the first time, and I don't know. I knew it was important for you to come on the show back then to talk about it, not only because I just wanted you in the studio more often, but I just hope that it inspired people to do the same elsewhere. Because you're right, it is the loneliness epidemic that has been covered in a number of ways. But you know, and it's not to say that both sexes aren't hurting. Everybody's very unhappy right now because our culture has been poisoned. And again, as I said last night, this is a nation, this is a civilization that would have been impossible to invade and to conquer. So the culture needed to be subverted, and we need to have been made sick on that level, and of course environmental levels and everything else. And when you think about the plight of the sexes and how they are a natural joining point of I don't know, our species, and we're on different pages right now. It's been made that way, and it's going to take a little time for that to heal. But I already see it healing because this is not something. It's not a scam. This men versus women. One person has privileges, the other person has responsibilities, kind of a thing. That's what it always breaks down to: victimhood, whatever it is. Whenever some kind of a social contagion takes part, somebody is directing it. Groups are directing it that know that it is it's a demolition. Yeah. It's really a demolition of something that was good, but it's something that's natural too. And once that demolition is complete, because it's so antithetical to nature, our nature as men and women to work together in the way that we were intended by God, it only takes a little bit of time for that forest to start growing back after the fire, because there's only one way that we're programmed. And as you can see from all the social revolutions that we had back in the 60s, 70s that were kind of burgeoning around the 50s too, this can't last for hundreds of years. It only had a short shelf life. It makes you wonder whether or not it was just a transition to some kind of a, I don't know, gulag state or something, because right now I see the signs of a big turnaround. The Chevy commercial, I understand you could say, hey, listen, that's a corporate entity that's seen, but even so, they got to see where the winds are blowing. They got to
listen. If anybody's going to see where the winds are blowing, it's going to be the corporate entities, right? If anyone's going to try to catch a tailwind and ride it out to more sales or more corporate greed, it's going to be the corporation. So they're going to piggyback on whatever's working or not working at the time and have the forecast of saying, hey, this is what's going to be coming down the pipeline. We need to start shifting our culture, whether it be internally or externally, what we're marketing and advertising. And they're going to catch those tailwinds and ride it out to whatever profit margins they can. So if anyone's going to be speaking a narrative of the culture, it's going to be the big corporations. And to really wrap up what I was saying, people who are doing what you're doing and the kind of work that's going to be done and is being done at your social club and future iterations of it all over the place, that's really going, that's a huge point of turnaround there, because really nobody is going to give back men their foundational responsibilities to Western civilization. Men are going to have to build themselves back up 100%. And take leadership again. Yeah. And it's funny because it's when you say social club, guys automatically, most of them go, oh, like cigars and whiskey. And I'm like, no, like I don't drink. I haven't, this month makes 3 years since I had a beer, ordered anything. I never had a problem with alcohol, never was a drinker. I just made a decision because I talked to two of the smartest people I know, both doctors, that it just wasn't worth it. So a lot of people think cigars and whiskey and all that stuff. And my point is that this is not going back to like the time where men were men. This is going back to like the time before men were men, like stoicism, right? Yeah. Physical endeavors, thinking, right? Like the learned man, the polymath, the guy who wants to be well-versed in all these different avenues. And I think more guys from what I've seen, are looking for that. They're looking for the community. They're looking for connection. They're looking to say, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. And you brought up a great point before. Like, if it's our responsibility, I think just as human beings, and then you could break it down to men, women, whatever you want, to say, I've struggled with this. This is how I dealt with it. This was the result. Like I said before about, oh, my kid spilling paint. I could now say, hey, listen, you might have a moment where your daughter spills something and you could say, oh, I remember Vin saying he felt like a piece of shit after he yelled at his son. This gives me a moment to pause and now approach this scenario with a clearer head or some insight and perspective that I might not have had if I didn't have a conversation with you. So it is our duty as human beings to offer that warning sign to say, this is coming down the pipeline. And I've seen it with groups where you see dads who have kids in college, dads who have newborns. Me, I have a 10, 6-year-old. So, hey, I'm struggling with this as a dad. Hey, I'm struggling with this as a husband. And it's offering that insight and perspective that helps people become better.
Yeah. That's it. And again, it's going to have to be one of those things where momentum is built up on our own.
Yeah.
And all that has to be local, and because obviously there's the places where all the influence and the resources have been very invested, whether through stupidity or just straight up malice, to make things worse.
Yeah.
To make things worse. And that's where we are. Hell, man. Well, that's the first hour. Can you imagine that?
Lots of tears.
I know. The first hour of nothing but straight up tears and crying. Welcome to Quite Frankly, the softer side of
love it.
Yeah. Well, so here's what we have. Starting from the top, running on empty. I'm going to put this in the chat. Just make sure I have the name picker ready. So later on, when we give away these gold backs and the crippled Santa, we'll be on our way. Running on empty says, wonderful commercial. Thanks for the tears, Frank. You got it, man. It's what we do here.
Right.
Jay Brits, of course, says, are you crying? Gay. Well, I was a little teary-eyed. Yeah, well, that was just crazy. Let's see here. Regular Guy Actual says, Vinny's on fire with his synopsis. Yes, he is.
Thank you.
That's it. Vin, how often do you I know that you're still doing the podcast, but
Yeah.
how often do you upload or do you stream it?
Every other week. So not as regularly as you. I thought about this actually on the ride here. We've been doing this for you, and I both have been radio broadcast, just nerds for how long? How long have you been doing the show?
Next year is going to be 20 years.
That's insane.
Well, quite frankly,
Broadcasting in general.
20 years.
Yeah.
February.
Do you have a date somewhere?
Yeah, it's.
Don't go crazy.
I think it's I think it might be February 6th or 8th. Whatever. Hold on here. I'll tell you right now. Now I want to know. I'll tell you. Well, let me.
Because I was doing, when we were doing the Vinny Brusco show, that was 2007. I think like we were recording it on CDs, handing them out to people in 2007.
We got one of those CDs.
Yeah. That was like the origin of this dynamic.
Yeah.
So that was like 2007 probably. So we'll be 20 years probably, or I'll be 20 years in podcasting and broadcasting.
We have a crazy origin story actually, because ultimately I think you responded to the Craigslist ad that we put out.
Yeah, it was like through my uncle knew Anthony, and
yes,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was your uncle.
Yep.
Became like familiar with Anthony when Anthony was, he was working at Home Depot for a couple of months.
Yep, exactly right.
And your uncle gave a CD tape of your concept for a radio show or wherever you had done a recording of you doing a show.
Yeah.
To Anthony.
Yep.
And then it would have to have been like maybe a year or two later that we actually met. And we met so many people in Westchester through those Craigslist posts about hey, listen, the studio's open. We're producing podcasts. But it
wasn't even podcasting.
It wasn't even.
It was just internet radio.
It was internet radio that we wanted, and more specifically, we wanted to build up a network. So we wanted to have there were people we turned away. I can't even tell you some of the people that came in and interviewed us interviewed with us to pitch us their shows and all that stuff. And because we wanted to make sure that things were, eclectic, but they worked in some way.
Right.
Dude, there was some fucking...
People think that podcasting is like, and you see it now, especially with social media. You see people doing, they'll have like a short or a reel or something, and they're doing a podcast, but they just have a microphone, and it's not even a clip from a podcast. They're just capturing content. People think podcasting is just a very easy, simple thing. It's really not.
No,
it's really not.
It had to have been this. Let me see here. It's February 2006. It was a Saturday morning. No, it was Friday night.
Is this when you had the studio, or is this when you were still in your bedroom?
No, this was at Manhattanville.
Right.
We were in Manhattanville for a couple of months before we brought our show back home in May of 2006. I could you want to actually I can let you listen to something that'll blow your mind. Hold on. Zadal's Master Archive 2007 audio shows. Let's see. Oh, here's April 3rd, 2007. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
God, please, Lord, please. I hope nothing. Let's listen.
Have the dump button.
Oh my God, dump! I don't have that. Oh my God!
Perfect. Interference. That says it all.
Hold on. Hold on. Oh my God! Nickelback. We were making fun of it. Probably sing it. Where the hell are we?
Oh my God! No.
Are you really Catholic?
That's Mike.
Am I Catholic? No.
Oh, all right, thank God.
That's Mike. Yeah.
What are you, Protestant?
Wait. I don't know who's calling in. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, that was right. The number would just come up.
Good job.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm waiting for one of these assholes.
Hi, my name is
That's me.
Danielle. I'm a man.
The funniest thing, right when we were about to call, the phone's ringing.
Fuck you, faggot. I'm a man.
Oh,
I'm a man.
that's Mike.
Yes, you are.
It goes back to looking back, man. It's crazy.
That was the precursor to what would become prank phone sex.
Yeah.
Where Mike,
We were so influenced by the time. Like I know our show was at that time. So influenced by the Attitude Era of wrestling and Opie and Anthony and shock jockeying and all that stuff.
I want to slap your butt cheeks.
Exactly.
No homo. Gay boners.
Nice.
Thank you, gay boners.
I love that.
That's incredible. Okay, well, you know what? Listen, let's watch something else before we call up our. We'll just do the super chats a little bit later on. Running on empty.
Sorry,
thank
I jumped
you.
in there. Sorry
No,
about
it's
that.
all right. It was a great
memory lane.
I wish we had. And you know what? We do a couple of minutes of flip side bonus stuff after the end credits. So maybe we'll jump back into the archives and listen to some stupidity.
Oh boy,
from 2007 again. Regular actual guy, Vinny's on fire with a synopsis. Crickles, the golden age of America. Joe Martinez, thank you. Regular guy actual says, Merry Christmas, Frank. Here's a little extra for Christmas. Keep up the awesome work. It's always appreciated. Thank you, regular actual guy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And also to everybody, just letting you know, if you are watching out there on YouTube, tonight I'm going to be uploading some more members-only emojis. I have a couple of great things in mind. So just to let you know. And also, because it's a very new thing, that's why I'm talking about it. If you have become a member on YouTube, make sure to start checking the members only posts there. I'm mirroring whatever I have on Patreon and Subscribestar. You don't have to move from Patreon to there. It's just another place because obviously we need to
no butt stuff. I hate this show.
No butt stuff. I hate this show, says Amethyst Cat. Well, what are you doing? It's either butt stuff or no. Let's see. ST says, I shed tears remembering my dad and I going to Christmas tree farms to pick out most beautiful blue spruce or balsam firs. Memories savor every moment. Yeah.
You ever go through your phone and just look back at X amount of years ago? Like my phone has I still have my pictures from the first iPhone I had on my phone. And I just go back. I'm like, wow. Just tugs in your heart.
Really?
Yeah. Good stuff.
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time just in my own head anyway, so it's just it really feels.
Who are you telling, buddy?
I know. All right. Well, listen here. Let's do this real quick. I have a guest that is coming on with us.
Very excited about this.
Giulio Anselmo. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. But first thing I want to do, I want to put out there. Damn it, we're not going to have any. I want to talk about appliances. What the hell with it. What the hell am I going to do?
They suck now. It's very simple.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, so I have a couple of clips here from Chase Hughes. You've seen him out there, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I see his face.
Well, Chase Hughes, although here this is an interview talking about the Alice in Wonderland technique. Take a listen to this.
L. Ron Hubbard invented this thing called the Alice in Wonderland technique.
Oh.
You know that this is a confusing statement, but if we're in a conversation and I'm speaking in a really confident way,
yes,
and I said something like, how different would it be if the same thing started looking now like it wouldn't change if nothing else really did? And you could just get completely open. And then the CIA, without even attributing anything to them, copied it almost word for word in an interrogation manual. And I have that PDF too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Chase Hughes just exposed the scariest...
By the way, this is a clip from the Danny Jones podcast. I think that's what I saw.
...manipulation trick yet. They used to call it interrogation, but now it's just called content.
They discovered this in the 50s and 60s that if I can confuse your brain acts as though someone who is... It's somebody that's falling. So if you imagine when you're falling, your limbs are flailing all over the place, and the first solid object that they come into contact with, it's going to like grab around it no matter what, even if it's a thorn bush or something.
Okay.
Right? So anything that's solid in that moment of confusion is going to get grabbed onto. So the brain corollary to this is if a person's confused, the first logical piece of information they hear after being confused will be automatically accepted, or more automatically accepted, without being screened or scrutinized by the brain.
In the world of behavioral manipulation, few tools could be more dangerous or more effective than confusion. Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard, understood this long before social media or surveillance capitalism. He wrote extensively about a method now known as the Alice in Wonderland technique, which involves flooding the subject with contradictory messages, bizarre phrases, and emotional whiplash until their grip on reality begins to slip. In 1961, the CIA declassified the now infamous Kubar counterintelligence interrogation manual, and inside it was almost word-for-word instructions from Hubbard's playbook. The technique was adopted as a psychological softening tool, meant to dismantle the subject's internal logic and replace it with whatever narrative the operator wanted. The goal wasn't to extract the truth, it was to overwrite the mind.
What L. Ron Hubbard does is have people read out of this book of Alice in Wonderland. The verbiage is very confusing. And L. Ron Hubbard openly wrote about this in his work, and I'll give you all of my research on it, and then the CIA, without even attributing anything to him, copied it almost word for word in an interrogation manual. And I have that PDF too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And then the grandfather of hypnotherapy, Milton Erickson, started writing about it.
Chase Hughes explains it like this. Every person runs on invisible behavioral scripts, pre-programmed mental routines that help us make sense of daily life. They tell your brain what's normal, what to expect, what to ignore. But when you interrupt that script through contradiction, chaos, or emotional shock, the brain hits a freeze point. It can't run its usual logic, so it panics. In that moment, it becomes desperate for something stable to grab onto. And whatever comes next, whether it's a belief, a command, or a total lie, feels safe simply because it's solid.
Now, I want to bring on our good friend Giulio. He's a clinical psychologist. He's been on with us before, and we've been waiting a while to have him come back. And this is one of the topics that he actually suggested. So I'm really excited to have you back with us, Giulio. How you feeling tonight?
Hello, everybody. Good night, Frank and Vinny.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? Pleasure to meet you.
Happy to be here.
So we're all together right now, Giulio. This in particular, I was so excited to talk about this with you because obviously it's a big part of your practice. You also are hypnosis is a very big part of what you do as well. We discussed hypnosis the first time you were on, but when it comes to the Alice in Wonderland technique, how much of that do you keep in mind when you assess a patient, both on a one-to-one and also when you assess society? Because I'll tell you, when you sent me all the information on this, it's something I had heard in the past, but it's just another one of those moments that I said to myself, damn, this is just explains the function of mass communication these days. Everybody is getting pelted by this right now.
Correct. Totally agree. The confusion technique, I get to know it because I was trained in hypnosis in California by the daughter of Milton Erickson and another bunch of people that worked with Milton Erickson the last years of his life. So for psychotherapeutic purposes. But then talking with you, your suggestion, I found the QBARC counterintelligence interrogation manual, and I found the coercive use of this technique. So I have more information about both uses, the good and the bad.
Okay, well, you know what? Then let's talk about the bad first, because, like I said before, whereas when we think about and Vinny, I know that
this rabbit hole's just right up my alley. So.
I know.
I'm making notes over here.
I've always asked. I
have my notes here.
I'm literally telling you, I'm going all in here.
When you think about any of those old school methods of brainwashing a person, we usually think about a very unlucky subject, whether they were born into servitude or something else, or they were scouted out in some kind of a gate program or something like that. And you usually see this image in your head of somebody that's in a basement, in a bunker somewhere, that is just getting worked on, having their mind broken.
Yeah, they got like a spinny wheel in front of them, right?
Yeah,
Someone's got goggles.
But it's so much worse than that right now, because like I said before, when you think about just this technique in particular, that really explains our relationship with social media. It is chaos, it is confusing, and the stakes seem to get higher and higher, where everything, especially every political situation, is life or death. It's existential crisis this, existential crisis that, and no real solution seems to be in sight ever. So people are just grabbing around for something that makes sense. So I guess my first question is, when you treat a person now, do you in some way assume that they are, I don't know, to a certain degree, brainwashed? Do we all have characteristics of low-level brainwashing? I should say, because it's just the way that our relationship with media is so toxic. It seems like it could be so widespread.
The approach is more or less the opposite what you are suggesting, because the crazy person is the awake person, right? So, but not in a good or healthy way adapted to the interaction with its world. So I try to pay the most attention and interest, because it is interest. It is very interesting, the worldview of a non-conventional person, right? So an outsider and a schizophrenic that may later can be able to release his medical uses. I have cases very successful. So it's very interesting to approach the problem or the symptom as a very positive way. It's the positive message from your unconscious mind, telling your conscious mind to stop fooling around and get the job done, basically.
I get you. Okay. And Vinny, what do you guys scribble down there so far?
I think of like the Mandela effect, how, we think that there's like, the Berenstain Bear thing, right?
Yeah.
How much of that comes into play with people's concepts of what they see and then what they believe, right? Because obviously there's a disconnect there where you're seeing something, whether it be a trauma, which obviously probably sets someone on a completely different trajectory, but they're seeing something and then and then what they're believing are two totally different things. So how does that come into play when you're dealing with a client?
Very interesting question. Let me think about it. The first thing it came to mind to me is to mention or share that there are kind of hypnotic phenomena that we can elicit or evoke in a person to come into fruition, into play. And I want to mention some of them because it might be interesting for your question, and then maybe I can expand on it a little bit. So for example, we may use confusion to evoke a hypnotic state trance, and when that happens, our brain naturally go to that place every 90 minutes. When we sleep, every 90 or 45 minutes, depends, the brain goes to the dream mode, no? REM. So there's a moment of more suggestibility, and also can elicit a lot of hypnotic phenomena like amnesia. You know, thinking about your example of Mandela effect. So we can at least evoke, and for trauma, we can. It's not that I say to the unconscious mind of my patient to do that. No, the unconscious mind of my patient does it for itself spontaneously. From this perspective, the good one or the positive one. No? We're talking about that, I think. So there's amnesia and hypermnesia. We can also remember things that we never remembered before or not in that detail. We can also elicit anesthesia or hypersensibility. Notice that there are bipolar phenomenon. Temporal expansion of the perception of time, or condension. No? When we are bored, it feels longer. When we are happy or fun, it feels faster, right?
So you're saying that through certain techniques you have actually been able to through similar techniques you have been able to recover memory and actually enhance memory?
Exactly. I don't do it specifically. I prepare the terrain so it happens spontaneously.
And what
for
is
the patient?
What is preparing the terrain include? Like what kind of setting are you putting?
Fantastic. So we have the hypnotic phenomenon that I'm mentioning, but we have the technique to pre-hypnotic suggestions, what we do before the hypnotic trance session, right? No, where do you want to go into a very relaxed trance state? In this chair or in this other chair, right? We are using an illusion of choice. No, you're implicating that you're going to go to a trance. It's gonna be, no. So I'm seeding. It's like predictive analytic. No, predictive programming is like seeding or foreshadowing, right? We are putting very abstract or symbolic, not very explicit signs. Before the session. Mm-hmm. Then we have the suggestion we can do during the session, right? I can tell you, focus on your pain in your shoulder and see how it is, no? How it behaves, how big it is. So I can guide the conscious mind of my patient in more, not taking it out from the problem, but going more in the opposite way, like Aikido. No, I don't go against the force of my opposite. If my opposite wanna go this direction, I'm gonna go with him, right? Not trying to go the other way. And then we can do another things in the session, so the conscious attention also goes away, very close and very away from the pain of the shoulder, for example.
Well, Giulio,
that makes sense.
It does. It does. I think that the last time you were on, you were talking about that whole idea of actually like leaning into the issue a little bit more, and to be able to kind of bear down there and connect with the injury or the trauma, whether it's physical or emotional, or whether it's an emotional thing having a physical manifestation, whatever. But when it comes to this particular technique of the Alice in Wonderland technique of confusion, to be able to influence a person's way of seeing the world or accepting a false reality by way of a form of manipulation, which is confusion, and which is, I should say, a form of trauma-based mind control. To confuse somebody is not to do anything. You don't like or respect that person to confuse them, to manipulate them that way. So, I'm trying to figure out how, because you said that there is a dark side and a light side to this. Obviously, the confusion and the the steering of a person's mind against their will through that kind of a trauma is the dark side. But how does that translate? How does that open the doorway for you to create a counter action to that? I'm trying to understand the counter to that.
Yeah, a positive example of the confusion technique, no, applied in psychotherapy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I use it in the very light way, just as pre-hypnotic suggestion to induce a state of trance. For example, I can say, very simple examples. Remember that forgetting something is better than forgetting to remember something. Just playing around with his conscious attention, so his unconscious attention can work in a more efficient way. Mm-hmm. Our conscious. I have two very interesting new research data that can have 95% of our brain activity is for unconscious functions, right? And 45% of our decisions daily, that are tens of thousands of decisions per day, is unconscious too. So is our world of view, our frames of reference also works in an unconscious manner, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a massive amount of unconscious brain activity. Just that results in action at least.
Yeah, Ericksonian approach is very respectful way to approach and interact the unconscious mind of the patient, and the coercive way has his precedent in MK Ultra, in MK Ultra, no? That was the precedent of this Kubark counterintelligence interrogation manual, and was basically the technique was called the psychic driving. Basically, the solved et coagula. You solve the brain of the dude, right? Through drugs, torture, sensory deprivation, and then once it's destroyed, you start to the basic technique of brainwashing. Brainwashing is repetition, right? Repeat new messages like the Clockwork Orange, right? Make sense?
No, absolutely. Vin, did you have anything?
Oh, do I?
Yes.
So a few things I have written down here is obviously neuro-linguistic programming, right? Like obviously that's seemingly an element of this where you're kind of dictating the course of the movement or the decision that the person's making based off of how you're framing the questions. And then the other thing I have written down here is exposure therapy, which is obviously you bringing attention to the thing that might be traumatic in this case, and now allowing them to have a new relationship with that thing based off of the unfolding of the unknown.
Positive reframes, right? Helping the patient to expand his frames of reference, new information coming in from a new perspective. Let's look at your phobia to spiders from another perspective. Imagine a leaf floating between two trees, and then you start to see a subtle spy net, right? A spider net, but not the spider, right? Or you start buying a stuffed plushy spider and put it 3 meters from you and see what happens, and try to apply a progressive desensitization.
Right.
As well, you can use it for good and for bad. They are certainly desensitizing us from confusion, right? Desensitizing us from very important issues, like you were talking the first hour I was listening. The first.
Oh yeah, the desensitization. That's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it because after a while you almost want to save yourself the trouble and say, okay, well. To go through that door is just uncomfortable and confusing, and nothing ever comes of it. To try to figure out what the hell is happening around us and how it's affecting us as individuals and as a nation, and to kind of offer up your a part of your soul essentially to an internet investigation or something else, or invest dozens of hours of listening to conversations on it, and sometimes the stuff that you're analyzing and really researching is some gruesome shit. I mean, there are people that that committed to watching the footage of the Charlie Kirk assassination, dozens of hours just to be able to put together their own theories of, bullet trajectory and everything else. I mean, that's you want to talk about desensitizing. It could be a heavy burden for people to carry after a while, especially when they start accepting the fact that they're probably not going to get any what they would call or consider a satisfactory amount of justice served. So that it's almost like take your hands off the wheel, say, why even try anymore?
For the first parts of your fantastic commentary, I totally agree. Tolerance for uncertainty is a very good skill, the tolerance for uncertainty, and the curiosity. Curiosity, it takes you, neurobiologically speaking, out of the state of fear. The opposite of fear, biologically speaking, is curiosity. Second part of your comment, any person has his own amount or threshold, right, of I don't know. It's very heavy. I don't like to do that too much.
Yeah. That's Vinny. Is that the first time you've ever heard that? The opposite of fear is curiosity.
I absolutely love that, and it's seemingly so spot on, because the only way that you're going to be able to conquer fear is through seeing it and understanding it, and the only way you could really dive into it is through a form of curiosity, right? Like you have to. The unfolding of the unknown, right? That's what all this really boils down to.
Yeah.
And I really love that. The opposite of fear is curiosity, because curiosity obviously scratches the itch of fear, because then you all of a sudden you have a resolution or potential resolution to that fear.
Yeah. Never thought of it that way.
I love that.
Yeah. At least also love that. I guess, because sometimes she go forward and forward. So very curious girl.
Well, let me ask you this, because obviously I think that the Alice in Wonderland technique, it really played a role in understanding a lot of the stuff that's already come up in the show tonight. And I mean, outside of a question, I just have a roundabout question about how you would take any of these corrective techniques into a season like we have right now, the holidays. Very high stress. You want to talk about confusion. You want to talk about just the anxiety of, one year closing out and looking back on the last 12 months. You could say, hey, listen, turning the page from 2025 to 2026 is not really a fresh start. It's a psychological fresh start. You turn the page on a calendar and you can, it's almost like there's a perforated line from one year to the next. But it's New Year's Day is just
Friday.
It's just a Friday,
Right.
That's what I'm talking. Yeah, absolutely. But, from a psychological standpoint, when we are in December, I don't know anybody who doesn't look back on the last 12 months to give themselves a score and to really think about whether or not they use the year to the best of their potential, or even if they work their asses off, whether or not they were able to see some fruits for their labor that was worth the struggle. And that in itself can be really stressful for people, just to analyze the year that had gone past. What do you bring into this last couple of weeks of every year to help manage people's not just holiday related stress, but just the end of a year? It's a lot.
Yeah. Do you know what is the most efficient way for the brain to clear itself from cortisol, the stress hormone?
I don't know.
Tears.
Oh, good. We were just talking about that.
We were just crying.
Yeah.
We were just crying.
I'm just bringing the facts.
Love that. See?
That's one. And my second favorite one is walk. Walk a lot slowly, enjoy it, breathe it, sing your breathing with your walk. And when you walk, you promote the bihemispherical interaction. You promote the bilateral electrical wave harmonization, etc. No, very interesting neuro facts.
Like EMDR.
and you go to a neuroplasticity state, right? That your brain secretes the best of the juice he has.
Just from walking, huh?
Yes.
Actually, and I want to hear you talk a little bit more about this, but I mean, walking has always been thrown out there to me too, but more specifically, I was told in the past, go out for a walk if you got to change things up, if you feel like you're in a rut, but go for a walk in a place where you have very high visibility. Like for example, I was told, Vinny, dude, go down to Playland, get onto the boardwalk and walk the boardwalk.
Like where you can see the horizon type of thing.
Where you can see miles. There's something about being able to visualize vast distances.
I think it also makes
and you... I have... Sorry, Vinny. Go. I have the fact, but I can't remember.
No. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Timing. There is a phenomenon, because if you walk in your gym with this walk synth, I don't know how it works. It's not the same, because there's a phenomenon called the optical flow. When you walk, your peripheral view, that is the unconscious information that's always ready for react instantaneously, right? Milliseconds of reaction, that's unconscious. There's a saccadic movement of your eyes, unconscious as well, that generates this phenomenon that is called optical flow, that also propitiated the neuroplasticity state, and some other juice comes out as well.
And so what is it about the distance? What is it about, hey, go out there, your legs are moving. It's a nice little walk, it's distracting in some way. But what is it about being able to have a view? I would have to imagine just stargazing at that case.
Yeah.
Just to look at something that's far away.
I think it's the vastness of it, right? It's probably something that puts you, it minimizes you, right? It makes you feel smaller. So therefore everything, you know what I mean? Like on that level, you're seeing the broadness of it, right? That horizon, that openness of it, like just staring out into the ocean, it just makes you feel smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what comes to me.
Seems practical.
That sounds fantastic. I just came to mind that other fact.
Well, it seems practical enough to me. I just, because this time of year now, all the Christmas movies are on, and Aurora just watched for the first time the Jim Carrey Grinch, and so of course that's where all of the behind the scenes factoids start getting dug up about all the time spent in the makeup chair and what was going on, and and it was brought up that first day of makeup, Jim Carrey had to spend 8 hours in the makeup chair. And as part of he almost quit, I think, on the first day because the makeup, it was just too much, the claustrophobia, everything. And that they had to bring somebody in who was either a Navy SEAL or CIA, somebody that was responsible for teaching American military intelligence assets how to be able to work through torture, to be able to keep themselves together enough to either survive it, to not be able to give up the goods, whatever the hell it is. And that's the kind of coaching that Jim Carrey needed just to be able to get through the
just to be the Grinch.
Just to be the Grinch. So I don't know,
Yes. Two hypnotic phenomenon related to that issue, very interesting, is anesthesia and catalepsy. Hypnotic phenomenon that you can master to induce by yourself to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The daughter of Milton Erickson went to nose surgery without anesthesia, right? Because she could induce to her. So anesthesia and catalepsy. Catalepsy is a bipolar phenomenon as well. The opposite of catalepsy, the person that doesn't move or your hand stand levitating, is flexibility. We talked the last time about the mojo in sport, when you are in the zone, you are in this neuroplasticity state or hypnotic trance state. Very similar when we are dreaming, when we are sleeping.
So then if you're going to tell anybody at home, as we wrap up a little bit over here, what they should take with them as a daily routine? What, everybody has their kind of mental hygiene routines. People pray, they meditate, they work out. I mean, there's a lot of things, but throughout the day, just brain hacks to know, there's still, we're dealing with mechanical function that what should people just have in their routine to be able to keep themselves, at least there's the mitigation of stress and focus, especially during transitional times of year like the holidays?
I don't know if for holidays, but one of the big ones is continue education, what you were talking about as well, the first part, right? That's a very good, it's like oxygen for the brain, new information, right? So that's one. Diaphragmatic breathing, very important. You stimulate your vagus nerve that connect with your guts, your second brain that produce 95% of your serotonin or something like that, and stimulate your brain as well to produce anesthesia. If you need anesthesia, whatever you need, he'll provide. So the religious part is the most important, I think, because you can imagine that the neurons working when you're praying is one of the most self-healing states you can imagine. So that's the big one. Visualization. Train yourself to visualize healing. If you visualize healing from a wound, you're gonna heal faster and better. Kind of well, that's demonstrated as well. If you imagine doing something, your brain and your body practically activate and circulate almost 80% the things it does when you really are doing it. So visualization, you can visualize fantasy, the past, with your photos, as Vinny does. Fantastic. Know thyself. That's a very important. The better you know yourself, the better aware you're gonna be when hyper-persuasive AI that knows you better than you ever know yourself can make you resonate, and then manipulate you instead of persuade you.
Absolutely. Oh, anything that we can do to stock up on skills to fight the AI. We're gonna have to fight the robots one day, Giulio. I'm sure you know this, and then I'm
sure we are already.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm so glad we got to talk before the holidays hit, especially about such an interesting subject. I can't wait to talk to you about something else in 2026. Obviously, your work is so fascinating. There's so many things to bring up, and we'll get that on the docket here. But as we're wrapping up this segment for the evening, why don't you let people know how to follow you, because you're active on Twitter, but you also you have a YouTube. Where do you want people to go primarily?
Yes, my YouTube, that is at Giulio Anselmo. And I think I'm going to send it to you, so you tag me in the title later, if you don't mind, or something like that.
Yeah, you got
it. I'm not sure if at Giulio Anselmo or at Giulio Barbonari. And Twitter, X is at Giulio Anselmo, like the title here.
I have you right here. This is you right here, right?
Hello and welcome.
Exactly.
Oh,
on this occasion, I would like to share with
you.
That's
you get this like
you find
this groovy jazz voice going on there.
It's me, but not live with big audience.
All right, so I'm going to make sure that I get this this link in the. I didn't even know this channel, guys. You were linked up on Twitter, so I'm going to subscribe.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure that I get that in the description of the episode. Giulio, anything else you want to say on the way out? Go ahead. Tell everybody whatever you want.
Nice to meet you, Vinny.
Oh, pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. This is I'm taking away a lot of things I need to get back to. So thank you.
Nice to meet you, and thanks, Frank, again, and everybody.
Well, hey,
night.
Giulio, thank you so much for becoming a friend of the show. It was great meeting you this year, and I'm sure that we'll speak before New Year's Eve. But I wish you nothing but the happiest of Christmases and a happy New Year. Let's do great things in 2026, shall we?
I'm working to be in your next jamboree, real in person. It's the thing. I'm gonna be there, I'm sure.
Oh man, that would be great. That would be great. The Jamborees, they will continue to be a international event then. Listen, you'll know more about that soon because we're going to go look around at some new venues and stuff. But thank you for everything, Giulio.
What a beautiful work both about that.
That's it.
Fantastic. Real world. Thank you guys.
You know what it is at the Jamboree that you show up to, whenever the hell that is, we'll have a special examination room where you can give people therapy. Just therapy all night.
Group hypnosis.
There you go.
That's it. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a great night.
Pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
There goes Giulio. Everybody, you can go check him out. He's actually hanging out in the chat room. He was there before the show began, and I'll make sure that link is in the description by the time that we upload the podcasts. So
much good stuff there.
I know.
So much good stuff there.
I know.
He's like the third person in 2 days that has mentioned walking. So I'm just going to take that as a sign that I need to go on a very long. There's that book. I think it's called like the 12-hour walk, and I think I just need to go on a long walk.
I think I have to go on a long walk too. I really do.
Good stuff there.
Let me get to these super chats. I'm going to give away this gold, and I want to. Hey, you know what? By any chance, if you hold on, I'll ask you after this.
All right.
Never mind. Here we go. All right. So we're all caught up with super chats over there. Over on Rumble, Awaken Boomer says, "Hey Frank, in for the Goldbacks and Santa, Central Massachusetts, 5 inches of snow. Now it's raining." Yeah, we were
never getting snow. You said it before. My daughter even woke up. I was like, "We're not getting snow.
Ray ain't coming home.
Ain't coming home." What your wife said.
She's expecting him any minute. You see, the engine is running, but there's no one behind the wheel. All right, let's see. Tommy Jekyll says, "Frank, I want the Santa. That's so valuable. I'll have to move into Fort Knox to protect it. Rumor is that there's room in there." Yes, I know. Remember, if you win the Santa Claus, you can go out and buy a couple of Toyota Corollas because obviously it's worth at least $8,000. I'm going to be bringing somebody on. Found somebody on eBay that is selling the black wheelchair Santa for $7,500.
Wow.
Yeah. And I pitched them December 9th as a show. So hopefully they call in for 10 minutes in the first half of the December 9th show. So I can have them talk about the historical importance.
Talk about Alice in Wonderland effect.
Yeah. So the world is so confusing right now that you'll actually accept that this felt crippled Santa, this crippled felt Santa is worth $8,000. Oh my God. Anyway, Awaken Boomer says, "Understanding that you don't understand is the first step in understanding." It's definitely good inspiration.
Yeah, for sure.
Stacks, thank you. Nathan says, "Chevy did good here, but I still can't move past taking the bailout." Well,
do what you gotta do. Right?
Yeah, I think everybody got their palms greased, didn't they?
The reality is, we'd all take the bailout. So
yeah, give me a well. You know,
judge.
You want to know something, though, Vin? The bailout, they could give us $1 million each, and it still wouldn't be a bailout. It would be a refund.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is our money.
Yeah.
And Amethyst
Cube
Cat.
the
Anakin. I hate them.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
You said something before. I was going to say, life finds a way.
I had that. I had a few other Dr. Hammond ones in there too, but that one's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I got to start using these more often. You know, I have too many things in front of me. It's very hard for me to split my mind up.
Yeah, that's hard. Listen, I know.
If I could be like the octopus bartender from Roger Rabbit, I would be fine.
Yeah.
Valhalla says, "Love that what Vinny is doing. These groups to help men deal during these times is epic. Thank you for having him on, Frank. And you rock as always."
Thank you.
Vinny's got to come back more often.
Yeah, definitely.
Amethyst Cat says, "Happy Tuesday, Frank and Vinny. Vinny is tapping into something that is very needed with the Council of Dudes, by the way." And there you go. Delona sent a sleeve of cookies. Silly Boar says, "Great show as always, Frank." And Corey J says, "Great show." I have to add Corey to the list, the name picker. Everybody else was added. Corey J. Everybody else was added during Giulio's segment. So we're all good there. All right. So with that being said, we have a couple of minutes until we're going to end the main show. So I'll pick out the winner. You guys still have a couple more minutes to send in your entries into the giveaway tonight, and to just say hello and to support the show. But Vin, have you been watching Stranger Things?
I did.
I've only watched the first 2 chapters. Of
I finished it.
Okay.
This season.
I'm hoping to get maybe 1 or 2 more in tonight when I get home. But without spoiling anything for me or anybody else, did the kids, if you want to call them that, get worse at acting? Or is the script just the dialogue so forced, and something feels off?
Definitely. I think it's just. I think you're right. I don't think they are worse at acting. I think it's just. It's time to end it, and I think they're gonna wrap it up, and goodness that they are. I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I thought you were gonna go with the post about the opening scene.
Oh no, I don't know. I saw that. Oh, there's somebody. It was a child got assaulted. I'm like, come on. Listen.
I literally. So I mentioned it to my wife, and I said we were watching it nonetheless, and I was like, I have to see what this is actually referencing, because like if you grew up on sci-fi and you grew up in the world we grew up in, right, watching Event Horizon or watching Aliens or watching any of these movies. You could take anything and look. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, right? And you could take any of these things, and I understand there's a lot going on with child manipulation and all of these things. And I am obviously, as a father, that is the most egregious thing on the planet, no question. But sometimes, like I said, a cigar is just a cigar. And I had to watch, and I was like, that is not. You could look at it that way, sure, but my goodness.
No, And like I said, I saw a whole bunch of people on, the Thanksgiving Eve?
Yeah.
So, no doubt, and that's the other thing I hate about being on the internet these days, is that somehow, I don't know, I guess everybody was watching it on 2 times the speed, because by the next morning, people had a whole... They were spoiling everything, and they want to be the first one to the party to freak out about one thing or another.
Yeah,
and they say, oh, it opens up with a kid with Will getting sexually assaulted by Vecna, and I'm like, what? And it's just like I don't know. You have a demonic force that is just taking over a person, a host, essentially.
Right.
How many times have we seen, like, even Twin Peaks, that bug crawling into the mouth, or I don't know.
It wasn't the case when it happened how many seasons ago, right? It never came up, never was a topic. No. But now, obviously, you could post that, get a bunch of likes and a bunch of comments, and now you have a leg to stand on. But to your earlier point, there is something weird about the acting. I don't know if it's just they got worse, or maybe they got older and they don't really fit the roles that they're playing on a chronological way. There is something off, but I enjoyed it the first half.
It should have been wrapped up nice and tightly in season 4.
Yeah,
season 4 should have been the end.
Not bad though. I'm enjoying it.
I
don't watch much. I don't watch any TV. So like if I watch something, I'm for the most part.
I'm following this one to the end, just
exactly.
because
We're committed at this point. What is it? Another 10 episodes or whatever it is?
It came out before Aurora was born, so I was just like,
certain things, just like certain shows take on a cultural phenomenon aspect to it, and I think this is definitely one of them, especially kind of the way it's ending, and it's like the series finale. So I think that there comes a point where like you almost feel left out of the party if you're not watching it to some extent.
I guess
I think
so.
the Super Bowl, it's like I could give 2 shits about football or even watching football or any team. I couldn't tell you anything about it, but yet somehow I'm at someone's house consuming food with the game on. It's just kind of a cultural thing that you're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. And with football, I think that I may have only watched 1 Cowboys game this year.
Yeah.
Especially if so I'm a Cowboys fan, and if they have an 8 o'clock, if they have like the Sunday night game, I can't tell you the last time I sat down and watched a Sunday night game. I forego watching anything that late because I don't want to stress myself out before bed, and I just professional athletes piss me the fuck off.
Yep.
If they weren't paid as much, I'd feel
right.
You know,
old Mickey Mail doesn't pay your bills.
Yeah, like I am whatever. You get excited when I watch high school football or something, like when my nephew was in high school. Now he's playing in college. You can get excited for when things are going good. You can the sting of defeat, but I don't know. There's something about you'd expect people who are getting paid that much to do something well, you know, or at least if they're going to lose,
doing it really well. I mean, they're still
bastards
really doing it really well.
Yeah, I guess so. They look goofy when they lose.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get you, because even the Super Bowl, that's just one of those things where I just want to make sure that I got everybody at the house.
Yeah.
We have some boxes that are, we go to the deli, you buy some Super Bowl boxes. You just make sure that there's enough stuff to eat and everybody's just having a good time.
A part of that is that Chevy commercial. Like
yes.
that is a version of this Chevy commercial. It's just like there's some kids playing, there's a halftime show that you don't really care about the actual activity, but you care about the people that you're with, not even the food that you're eating, but just the camaraderie of it all. That's the
hard drugs.
Hard drugs, yes. Lots of drinking, hard drugs. It's all about that.
Yes, I know. And of course, the Alice in Wonderland technique.
Yeah.
See how many of your family's brains you can break over the course of an evening.
How many already broken?
That's it. They're all done for. All right. Well, here we go. Jeannie Yankee fan says, thank you, Vinny and Giulio. Thank you to our wonderful friends over on Twitch. It's so great to have you all back in the saddle with us. But we're just about ready to get ourselves over to the flip side. So
the underworld?
Yeah. The
upside down world?
To the upside down. That's where we're all going right now. And that's where I'm going to play this, Vin. When we get there, I want to talk about this stove. This stove right here.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. It's a minute long.
Okay.
And we have 5 minutes left in the show. Listen to this. This stove, this is from Brian Rommel.
All right.
This stove was designed in the late 1940s and engineered and manufactured for most of the 50s. They were ingenious and fortified last generations. Okay. And then this is how we used to build appliances in the U.S., they say.
Look at this really cool stove, probably from around the 50s.
It's got a really nice function here. It's got a griddle to fry on. It's got something called a sizzle pan that can broil steaks.
That's crazy.
First of all, you hear the sound that is making?
It is so solid.
That sound, I mean, you can kill somebody with that one plate alone.
Easily.
You don't get that sound out of any part of a modern appliance anymore. It is so heavy.
It's lined with rock wool, so what happens is the saying inside the oven is you cook with the gas off, because what happens is you heat up the oven and then you can turn the gas off and it retains the heat.
Wow.
It's it was an efficient thing for the 1950s. Here's a well. It has special pots, soup pot. It's a precursor to a crock pot. What? And,
fire.
Naturally, it lights up.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
It lights up like a world.
No LEDs.
Yeah, mine doesn't work anymore. The fucking light over my
fire it up.
All right.
The one from 1950 still works. The one from whatever year I got it.
Wow, that is so cool.
Whoa.
Neat stove.
Yep.
History.
Wow, man.
And it still works. Like I have the opposite burner, my front left burner does, like, I have to time it. It's like I have to make sure I'm not pouring out too much gas. I'm like, wait, is it now? Like I have to time it right to get it to spark. That thing from night fired right up.
You know what? I think that squeal of the thing coming down.
Sick.
I love that little squeal there too. You know that was somebody's happy place when they're in their bedroom and they know that mom was working on something.
Some bacon on that skillet. You ever see that? Like I guess it's a meme. I don't know, but they'll have comparisons of the way things used to look versus how they look now. It would be something as simple as like a light post or like the front of a bank or a bench. And like if you rewind time, everything is nuanced and curved and rounded, and it just has this fit and finish to it that is just such effort. And then you look at everything now and it's modernized and it's just like wooden. There's no refinement to it. There's no care into it. This is a perfect example of that. Something from the 40s and 50s that it has like every component that you now have to go and buy a crock pot, get a skillet. You have to get all these other components to make what was just standard living, and it still works and is functioning. And the sheer fact that, nowadays my lights out doesn't even work. I tried everything. Doesn't work. The front stove burn. It's just like, it just says exactly what we were talking about.
Forget about washers and dryers.
Oh, forget.
Washers and dryers.
Laughable.
I mean, they are built with Legos.
Laughable.
Lego. I don't know. Every motor, anything with a motor,
you're done.
It just burns out.
The handles are cheaply made to repair the handles. Like I said, I was having this conversation with my mom today. She was like, a handle broke on something, and they wanted like $160 for the handle, another $80 to have someone come and fix it, another this. I was like, at that point, you can just buy a whole new appliance.
Well, with all that being said, I put it into the chat room, and we're going to end the poll right now on YouTube. I said, do you still believe that American made is best quality even today? Because you want to talk about cheap foreign stuff. People are cutting corners all over the place. And perhaps we wouldn't be cutting corners. Maybe we would still be making stoves that awesome. And I'm sure if you pay money, you're going to find the best of the best these days. But that was in the average home. Those are things that are in the average homes. The Frigidairs that
Crunk.
Yeah. So, but people still said overwhelmingly in the chat, 78% said yes, I still believe that American made is best quality. And I said, if you say no, put into the chat room what you think is better for at least what. And for you guys and gals who are watching right now after the fact, please put it into the comments. Like, for example, is there any foreign made car? Is there any foreign car company that no matter what an American car manufacturer pumps out, you would never take the American car over that foreign car? Like, I'm sure some of you guys have all types of biases and favorite stuff, but is it because that America just can't compete anymore? What is it? Like,
I saw Jocko recently on a podcast, and he's on Sean Ryan. He just said the expense, like, he obviously has the Origin clothing company, and he said just the expense of it is just astronomical, right? Like, just, everything he does for that company is American made, down to like the cotton that they pick and everything. And it's just expense, right? And I think that obviously I'm not well versed in this, but is it better quality? I don't know, but I will say it's just from a manufacturer standpoint, the longevity of it gets outweighed by the cost, right? It's like, whatever. If it lasts X amount of years, it's fine. It costs us less than if we made a really good one in America. So I think it's probably American made is probably still better, but is it sustainable?
Oh, well, that's what we have to make. That's what we have to make it sustainable. That's the whole point. I mean, listen, we're competing. We're trying to compete with the rest of the world with one hand tied behind our back.
Right.
And that is because of these awful trade policies that we've had for generations now.
Right. Well, that's the other part of it, is that you're just trying to catch up at the very least.
Yeah.
Try to just catch up. Where had it been over all of this duration of time, then yeah, right now we'd probably be in a obviously very radically different position, and we'd have amazing ovens like that one.
Well, one day the ovens will return. They will. People in the chat, I've seen some people say, hey, yes, Honda is supreme. Somebody said that German makes good stuff. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think in the automotive world, it's really hard to compete with Japanese and German engineered vehicles. It really is.
Yeah. No, it has to be. Okay, well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let us go and pick a winner for tonight, and then we'll check you out on the flip side. Here we go. So, out of 59 names from last night to tonight, Here is who's going to win the 2 gold backs and the white crippled Santa. Bringing joy.
Do you have the KBBL Bill and Marty hot dog? We have a wiener.
No, I don't. I do not. I do not. Here we go, though. Picking a random name and 3, 2, click. It is Running on Empty. Running on Empty on, I believe, YouTube. Running on Empty. Running on Empty. You got to get in touch with me. Frank at quitefrankly.tv. And we are going to get this out into the mail for you real quick. And then, of course, the black crippled Santa will be here for another day. But we have more gold backs to give away soon.
Are you giving away the black crippled Santa?
Oh yeah, I have one of my own.
Oh, you got a fortune. I bought fortunate Santas
in 2023. I think I bought about a dozen of them because they're so outrageous. And I gave a couple on the air. This was the last box of them I had. And they slipped a white one in there. I did not buy a white one. I bought all black ones.
And they just slipped a white one in there.
It's the I was going for maximum history made. There's nothing. What's more historic, a crippled white Santa or a crippled black Santa? I was going for maximum history. Anyway, we'll see you on the flip side, everybody. I put the links in the chat room right now. You guys have been fantastic company. And tomorrow, it's going to be fantastic once again because we are going to have Kevin Dahlgren is going to be calling in. Kevin has been doing for years incredible work on the streets of Portland, Oregon, covering the homelessness crisis out there. But he goes to incredible lengths, and he's there trying to help people. But he documents the violence on the streets among the homeless, the spiritual sickness, demonic possession, the severity of the drug issue, the new drugs that are coming in, how local ordinance and state laws have completely not only failed to make anything better, but have made it exponentially worse. It'll be incredible.
That's interesting.
It's going to be a good one. Yeah. It's going to be a really good one tomorrow.
Tune in for that one.
Yes, and I really hope that Vinny Brusco comes back to co-host some shows.
Might come back tomorrow.
Hey, listen. Well, listen. It'll be open.
Thank you.
It'll be open. If you want to come in, please do so.
Thank you.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you on the flip. You have the links in the chat. Come and join us. Until then, bye-bye.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes, everybody. Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience. Now our super chatters, well, there's too many of you. Thankfully, thank you so much for the support of the show every night. Even if you just give it a like and a comment, it is so huge. Because I want you guys to be categorized as a high-quality audience, which means that I will be suggested to more people who actually voluntarily subscribe to the show. And that's a good place to start. And then from there, I don't know, we'll introduce ourselves to some new people. All right, I'll catch you on the other side. We have far more amazing things to do before the lights go out at 9:30. Good night. Oh, this is the last 2.5 inches are always so good. Oh.